All right, buckle up, everyone. We're diving deep into International Motors today, and we've got a whole pile of intel to sift through. Internal memos, industry reports, even some heartfelt tributes from employees. It's all here.
Yeah, I think we've got puzzle pieces from all over the company, Our job is to kind of put them together and see what picture we get.
Exactly. And, you mentioned you have a big meeting coming up with some international stakeholders.
Well, yeah, in a couple weeks, yeah.
Well, consider this your crash course. We'll get you prepped and ready to go.
Yeah, so you can walk into that room like you own the place.
Like you own it. All right, well, we've got a lot to cover. A new engine, a high-tech warehouse, and even a tribute to a dedicated employee. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
All right, first up, the S13 engine. Now, this isn't just any engine. This is International's first in-house design in years.
And they did not come to play around,
Sure.
A 15% fuel efficiency improvement is a big deal, especially for commercial vehicles.
Right, especially in this market. So how'd they do it?
Well, they've got this high compression ratio, a really smart design tweak. But here's the real kicker. The S13 already meets those 2027 emission standards.
Wow, so they're way ahead of the game.
They're not just keeping up, they're setting the pace, sending a message to Cummins and everyone else.
In this engine, they built it to last. Fewer redesigns, less maintenance. But the biggest news, you ready for this? It's approved for renewable diesel.
That's huge. For any fleet looking to go green, International just gave them the perfect solution. They can hit those sustainability goals without sacrificing performance.
It's a win-win, really. All right, let's shift gears over to the Midwest Parts Distribution Center, the PDC as they call it.
Okay, so get this. They just replaced a warehouse management system that was almost 30 years old.
Wow, really? 30 years?
Can you imagine? They went live with this brand new cutting-edge system on January 13th.
Talk about a fresh start to the new year. What does this new system do?
Well, it gives them real-time inventory tracking, better space utilization, and get this, it even gets them ready for e-commerce and automation in the future.
So this is about way more than just efficiency.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. You're a dealer. Suddenly parts are arriving faster, fewer errors. Everyone's happy.
It's all connected. So they rolled this out at the National PDC first.
Right, and they learned a lot from that experience, so the Midwest launch was even smoother.
Smart move. They're constantly learning, improving their operations, always trying to do better.
Yeah, good sign.
Okay, so now let's take a quick look at the people behind International. They've got this leadership development program, Leadership Fundamentals.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's not just about technical skills. They're focusing on those soft skills that make a great leader. Communication, collaboration, decision-making, all of that.
Makes sense. So tell me about this participant, Michael Pascasio.
Oh, yeah. So he saw a huge boost in his confidence and decision-making after going through the program. Even his supervisor noticed a big difference.
Wow, that's impressive. Real, tangible results.
That's what you want to see.
Now, on a more somber note, we also learned about the passing of a former employee, Robert William Jarvis. He worked for International Harvester for over 40 years.
It's always important to remember those stories, the people who built the company over decades.
And get this, Jarvis worked at the Melrose Park engine plant. Makes you wonder if he had a hand in building the engines that powered International all those years.
Yeah, it really connects the past and present, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about something that might sound a little corporate-y at first, but it's actually super important. The International Way.
Ah, yes, the International Way. Sounds like a bunch of slogans, but it's actually a lot more than that.
So tell me more about it. What is the International Way?
Well, it's a whole system, really. Values, leadership principles, and even this unique thinking model. They use the analogy of a house, which I kind of like. The foundation is the core values. The walls are the leadership principles, and the roof is their operational approach. It's all connected.
And this isn't just some internal thing. It affects everyone they work with, right?
Well, absolutely. Think about it from your perspective as a stakeholder. A company that puts customer first, respect, and elimination of waste front and center. Those are values you can get behind.
For sure. And it sounds like they're actually living these values, not just talking about them.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely walking the walk. The production and logistics team even created their own version, the International P&L Way.
So it's adaptable, living, breathing thing. That's pretty cool.
It is. It is.
All right, now let's move on to the STX production plant in San Antonio, Texas. Word on the street is this place is on fire.
Yeah, lots of good buzz around STX. The Executive Dealer Council visited recently, and they were really impressed with how much progress they've made and how smoothly things are running.
Interesting. And here's the juicy part. Someone from the rear axle team, supposedly the best department in the plant, hinted that production of their second electric MV truck was a breeze.
Could STX be becoming International's electric vehicle hub?
It's definitely a possibility, especially since they're on a big hiring spree right now. More people usually means more production, right?
Yeah, usually a good indicator. Raises an interesting question, though. What does this growth at STX mean for their overall production capacity? Can they keep up with demand?
Yeah, that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Okay, now let's zoom out and look at the big picture. Internationals laid out their strategic priorities for 2025.
Yeah, they've got some ambitious goals all lined up with their four-pillar strategy.
Some of the key ones that jumped out at me are customer first, dealer performance, best-in-class solutions, Class 8 revamp, BV transition, and decarbonize operations.
You can really see their direction in those priorities. They're laser-focused on customer experience, leading the charge in innovation and sustainability.
Yeah, they're not just reacting to the industry, they're trying to shape it. Now, there's one more interesting thing that popped up. Triton 1 PDP?
Yeah, it's listed as a strategic priority,
Yeah.
but the details are a little scarce. International is part of the Triton group.
Yes, that's right. And that's really key to understanding International because it means that they're not an independent company.
Right.
They are a subsidiary, meaning they're owned by this larger parent company, the Triton Group, a global powerhouse in commercial vehicles. They've got brands like Scania and MAN under their umbrella.
Right, so Triton 1 PDP is probably some kind of group-wide initiative. Maybe a platform or process they're rolling out across all their brands.
Imagine the potential, tapping into the expertise and resources of the entire Triton Group.
That could give them a serious competitive edge.
For sure. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground. Before we send you off to conquer that stakeholder meeting, let's distill everything down to the key takeaways. You ready?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, so let's recap here. You're walking into this meeting, your head's buzzing with all this International Motors info. What are the big things you got to remember?
Okay, so first off, International is serious. There you go. That S13 engine, that's a statement. They're all about innovation, fuel efficiency, the whole package. They're grabbing market share and meeting those future emission standards all at the same time.
It's like they're playing chess, thinking 5 moves ahead.
Exactly. And don't forget about the Midwest PDC, that whole digital transformation. They're serious about efficiency, about making their customers happy.
Faster parts, less hassle. Who doesn't love that?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the International way. It's more than just words on a page. It's the heart and soul of their company culture.
Yeah, and it shapes how they do business, how they treat their customers.
For sure. And, their sustainability efforts. That's not just for show. The S13 engine is ready for renewable diesel, and they're putting in the work to reduce their environmental impact.
It's about making a real difference, not just talking about it.
Exactly. And keep an eye on that STX plant. It could be a game changer in the EV market.
Lots of potential there for sure. Oh, and what about Triton 1 PDP? Still a bit of a mystery.
Yeah, but it shows the power of being part of a bigger team,
Yeah.
They can tap into resources and expertise from the whole Triton group.
Definitely a competitive advantage. Okay, so you've got the intel. You're ready to impress those stakeholders. But before we wrap up, let's leave you with something to chew on. We've seen how International's pushing for innovation and sustainability. And those two things, they don't always play nice, right? What do you think? How's this going to play out? How's this dual focus on innovation and sustainability? How's that going to impact International's position in the market, especially with everything changing so fast?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's not just International. It's the whole industry that's wrestling with this.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you've got this incredible push for technology, like we saw with that S13 engine.
Right.
And then there's all the excitement around electric vehicles.
But then on the other hand, they're also committed to reducing their impact on the planet, making sure they're operating sustainably.
And those two things, they don't always see eye to eye.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
It is. And it's a tough one. How do you stay ahead of the curve, technologically speaking, while also being responsible, environmentally responsible?
It's like walking a tightrope.
It really is. And to make things even trickier, the industry's changing so fast.
Oh, yeah, it's evolving at warp speed.
New technologies popping up all the time.
Yeah.
Customer expectations are shifting. It's a lot to keep up with.
So International can't afford to stand still.
No, they got to be nimble, got to be willing to take risks, and maybe even make some tough choices along the way.
So what do you think? What's their biggest challenge going to be in 2025?
That's a good question. I think it's going to be navigating this complex landscape, balancing those competing priorities, innovation, sustainability, keeping their customers happy.
It all comes back to the customer in the end, right?
It always does. If they can deliver those cutting-edge, sustainable products, and provide that top-notch service and support, they'll be in a good spot.
Well said.
Well, as always, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
And keep digging, everyone. There's always more to learn.
Absolutely.